Invite a Budget Blinds style consultant to show you how to transform your rooms just by changing your window coverings. Canada's #1 choice for window coverings. Visit budgetblinds.ca today.
And Moses joins us on Best for Sports, and we're just a little over a year away until the Lloydminster hosts the 2016 RBC Cup, and the lead-up starts now.
Yeah, and it's been quite the offseason for the Lloydminster Bobcats early, gearing up for that national tournament. You remember that's going to happen next year around this time. And of course, that has its challenges, and you'll see in a bit. But first, we got to talk about the coaching ranks, as there's a bit of a change. Nirman Issa reports.
As of May 1st, Coach Gord Thibodeau will take over for general manager duties from Coach Gary Van Herway, as originally agreed upon last May when Gord Thibodeau was hired on.
It's a coaching carousel for the Lloydminster Bobcats, as Gord Thibodeau is now the main man in charge. While he and Gary Van Herway will share head coaching duties, Thibodeau is now the main general manager. While unconventional, this was the agreement made when Thibodeau was first hired on last spring.
It's about putting egos aside and doing what's best for the team and the players. You don't always agree on things, and it's nice and healthy to have that type of dialogue where you question some decisions. You know, the more information you can get and the more experience you can use, both for myself and Gary, you end up coming to a solidified decision, and that's what you present to your team, and it works actually fairly well. You know, this year that was pretty smooth.
The team finished the season second in the North with a record of 32-20-8 and bowed out in the second round of the playoffs. But this upcoming season, there's a lot more on the line, with the Cats hosting the 2016 RBC Cup.
And we're conscious of trying to build a winner here for many years. We don't want to just win the RBC. We want to win titles for 5 or 6 or 7 years in a row.
It hasn't been a slow off season at all for the organization. With the club getting an automatic berth to the tournament, the team is focusing on recruiting, but it's not without its challenges.
What we're finding is a lot of good recruits don't want to come here because they're not sure if they're going to be able to make this team, knowing that it's an RBC host. So we've had to work twice as hard to try to commit kids.
Meanwhile, Thibodeau says the team will be announcing some changes to the roster in the next couple of weeks, including trades and signings.
Are we going to mortgage the future to win the Royal Bank Cup? We don't think we have to. We think we can, put those 2 goals side by side and still accomplish.
Nirman Issa, Newcap Sports.
All right, to some more hockey. The best Bantam players from the province are in Canmore for the ATB Alberta Cup, and 3 players from the Lloydminster area are suiting up for Team Northeast, who took on Team Edmonton Yellow. Now, Edmonton Yellow would get on the board with 3 straight goals. Northeast's Jordan Bureau would cut that deficit to 2, but it wasn't enough. Damon Zimmer and Lloyd's very own Oren Sintazzo would round out the scoring in a 5-3 loss. Northeast is back at it tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, several members of the Bantam Girls Ice Cats are also in action this week for the Alberta Challenge Cup in Medicine Hat, which begins at 4 o'clock. Moving on, after getting eliminated from any playoff contention, the Spruce Grove Saints played for pride this afternoon, hoping to avoid being swept in the Western Canada Cup. They were playing their final round-robin game against the Portage Terriers, and it would be the Terriers that get on the board first. Taylor Friesen will just throw it on net. Chase Faulkner will put it away, 1-0 for the Manitoba champions. Moving on to the midway through the period, that is, the Saints turn it over, and it's going to be Faulkner on the doorstep once again, putting in the cage. It is 2-0 after 1 period. The Saints would get on the board about 4 minutes into the next frame. Carson Zamarini will come into the screen and blast one, and that cuts the lead in half. The Terriers would answer right back moments later on the power play. It'll be their captain, Tanner Jago, with a bullet. And as you'll see once again, popping the water bottle. What a heck of a goal. Terriers regain that 2-goal lead. Before the period is done, on the man advantage themselves, the Saints would cut that deficit to 1 again after Colton Leaders would score with the wrister. The Saints would trail by 1 heading to the dressing room, but that's as close as they would get. The Saints would go 0-4 in the tourney with a 4-2 loss. And that is your first look at sports. Jordan Lampow has your weather details coming right up.
This is brought to you by RecTech Power Products. Highway 16 West Lloydminster, your local BRP dealer.
Welcome back, everyone. The puck is being dropped in the second round of the playoffs in the NHL tonight. So that means it's time for our Newcap Sports playoff predictions, as well as a recap of the opening round. Nirman Issa, take it away.
Taking a look at the first round predictions, Moses completed the sweep, guessing all 8 series correct. Meanwhile, Brett and I went 5 for 8, while Harley, he picked 4 out of 8 correctly. Back at the SBCA, Harley is sniffing around for his round 2 predictions. In the West, Harley is going with the Chicago Blackhawks. He thinks the Flames will roast the Ducks. Out East, he's going with Carey Price and his Montreal Canadiens. He's also going with Washington over New York. As for who the Newcap Sports Department is picking for the second round, in the West, it's the Chicago Blackhawks straight across the board. Now we have a split in the Calgary-Anaheim series as Moses and Harley are going with the underdog Flames. In the East, Harley has faith in Braden Holtby and his Washington Capitals. And when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning, Brett is the only one to go with the Bolts.
All right, to baseball now. The AAA Prairie Pirates team added a new club to the mix as they have a AA program, and they played their first home game of the year against the MACKLIN Lakers. And the Lakers would score early and often. We'll start at the top of 2 of the game, or score 4-2. Runner on first, Jared Hillis. He finds a gap. He'd actually get a stand-up RBI triple in this one. 5-2 would be the score. He later on score on the wild pitch, making it 6-2. 3 batters later, it'll be Davin Lang who will take the ball back where it came from, right up the middle. That's a double, a plate home, a runner, and this is now a 7-2 ball game. Pirates would slowly chip away at the lead. As you'll see, a nice opposite field shot by Mike McDonald. That makes it 8-4. However, some errors and wild pitches would end up costing them their first victory. MACKLIN would take this one by a final score of 18-11. Now, he was the much-hyped first overall pick in last year's NBA draft, and today, Canadian Andrew Wiggins was named the league's Rookie of the Year. The native of Vaughan, Ontario, captured the award